All right, guys, so here's what we're going to do. I know the past couple days we've kind of gone through a lot, so I want to do a nice little review with you guys. So let's go ahead and scroll down and do some of these simplifying square roots problems. So they want to know, what's the square root of 4? Well, easy. That's a perfect square. The square root of 4 is, you should have this memorized, 2. What about square root 36? Easy, 6. What about 3? This one's a little bit harder. Okay, so the past couple days we've talked about simplifying square roots. So there are two methods we could use for this. For some of you, you might say, hey, I'm going to break this down to 25 times square root of 5. All right, because 25 times 5 would give me the square root of 125. And the reason why you might do that is because you know that this 25 becomes 5, and I'm left over with the square root of 5. 5 square root 5. Okay, for others of you, you might say, Ms. Podersky, I like the buddy method. And I would say, okay, then let's go ahead and do the buddy method. So if I did this, I'll do the buddy method in purple for you. If I have the square root of 125, what are two numbers I can multiply together to get 125? Well, we just discussed that you could do square root of 25 times the square root of 5. This would break down to 5, 5, and 5. So I have 3 5s. Well, I have one buddy pair, so that would go on the outside of my square root, and I have a leftover of 1 5. So I put that in the square root box. Okay, let's think about 216. So I'm going to go ahead and do the buddy pair because at the top of my head, I don't know numbers that would multiply together to 216. So when I take the calculator out, I'm going to start thinking about, okay, well, 216 divided by 4, which is the perfect square, is actually 54. So 4 could become 2 and 2. Got my buddy pairs to come out. 54, well, let's see, two numbers that will multiply together to 54, 9 and 6. So that would become 3 and 3. There's one buddy pair. And 2 and 3, which don't have a buddy pair, so I'm just going to leave that as root 6. Well, since this is one buddy pair here, I have a buddy pair of 2. I have a buddy pair of 3 with a leftover 6 in the square root. 2 times 3 will give me 6. Square root 6, final answer. Go ahead down here. Let's try square root 80. Square root of 80, let's try this one. So the square root of 80, I know, could become square root 4 times the square root of 20. Well, 20 could become 4 and 5, and 4 would become 2 and 2, right? So there's one buddy pair. Nothing can come out of 5, and this 4 is also 2 and 2. There's another buddy pair. So I have one buddy pair of 2, two buddy pair of 2, with a leftover root 5. Well, what's 2 times 2? 4. I get 4 square root 5 because there's 1, 2 buddy pairs. All right. I want you guys to go ahead and try, let's do 7 and 8 on your own. Go ahead and freeze the screen, and then I'm going to go over my answers. So freeze now. Square root of 28. All right. So square root of 28 becomes square root 4 times 7. This becomes 2 and 2. There's a buddy pair. So you get 2 root 7, final answer. Square root of 99 would become 11 times 9, which is 3 and 3. There's a buddy pair. So 3, sorry about that, root 11, final answer. All right, let's amp this up a little bit. So let's look at 9, 10, and 11. Why do 9, 10, and 11 look different? And 9, 10, and 11 look a little bit different because there's already a number outside, right, of the square root symbol. So all I want you to do is simplify this down further if you can. So we know, okay, that we already have for 9, 2 square root 24. Well, they just want you to look at the square root and see if it can be simplified down any further. So for me, I know that 4 and 6 is the same as being multiplied. 4 times 6 is 24, sorry. So this 4 would become 2 and 2, right? So there's a buddy pair of 2's to kick out. So now instead of that first 2, I'm going to actually have a second 2. So the original 2 times the new 2, the square root of 6. So what's 2 times 2? Well, that's 4. Get 4 root 6. So you're really just simplifying it down to see if there's anything else, any other buddy pairs you can kick out to simplify. Okay, look at 3 root 12. Well, I know if I had 3 root 12, what are two numbers I can multiply together to get 12? Many of you are saying 6 times 2. Great. Think about perfect squares. Are there any other numbers I can multiply together to get 12? Yes. Square root 4 times square root 3. Square root 4 is perfect because there are two 2's to kick out, a buddy pair of 2's. So I'm going to write times 2 so I remember that. So I have 3 times 2, which is 6, with a leftover root 3. Okay, look at 11, 12, 11 and 12, 15. What looks different about those? Those all have fractions on the bottom. So we're going to be working on these here later. But what you need to know is you can't have a fraction in a square root. So what you're going to do is actually just multiply by the square root of whatever that bottom number is in the top to help you out. So now what happens is, since this is a buddy pair on the bottom, all I'm left with on the bottom is 64. And up top, okay, I have square root of 6. So we'll be working on this here in the next few days, but what I want you to understand is the idea of simplifying through the buddy pair, or whichever method that you choose from the previous lessons, okay? Keep working on some of these and come see me if you need help. As always, turn your tracker to orange if you need me.